slideshow that we're going to try to get through real quick, if possible. But, this is an opening statement. We've got, it's been 6 months that we actually have met as a full 2 groups. For those new ones, welcome both. I think you're glad to have you here and helping us, and we hope you understand all of this and make comments right over the bat. Tyler's new, but he seems like an old shoe, so sorry. That's terrible. Sorry. One of the things that has caused us to sort of have a delay for 6 months, or just to do a quick review, is that in the last 3 years ago, we started working with Meta. And as you know, one of the major things that Meta needed was water. And so as you guys know, we worked through a good 3 years of getting that prepared. And then after that, a project that PDT was working on with Oco. We got to the 13th hour, and due to really some changes in the company and economic issues, it dropped off. They also were a fairly large water user. As you know, Meta stopped, right, tore their buildings down. And one of the things that did is that is a great project. They're moving forward, and it'll be wonderful for our community. It just affected our financing plan because of the taxing value went down. Value's still there as far as a great project, great for us. And good news, bad news. We lost Increment. We also lost the need for that water. So over the last couple, really 6 months, what we've been doing is adjusting the loss of Increment, because we were really planning on spending that for water projects and really future projects, and also adjusting our water issues to determine if there's a way to decrease some of the projects we had for those 2 projects. One last item that we've really been waiting for is the outer loop. As you know, it's $35 million in our budget. And we were really concerned that it could end up being over all the projects as far as roads. And I mean, almost any project if you're in our industry, it is a day-to-day supply side trying to figure out what the number was. So we waited until we got those bids in so that we knew what our delta was. And we are now ready to take you through the financing plan, which is in front of you. This financing plan that's in front of you is the last approved plan that this group has put forward to the board, and is what we're operating. Multiple things are happening, but it's from my chair, this financing plan is the only financing plan you have right now until we make the changes to it. And so we're going to go, if you want to follow along. David has worked with me, and yes, sir, yes, sir.
Well, just one thing, reminder, particularly the new one, that all these meetings are posted meetings, they have a public meetings, they're recorded. We have people that join by Zoom as well, just not everyone around the table. So anyway.
Yeah, so hold your tongue, I won't. That's great. You guys literally starting with line 1. I'm gonna try to go through this. If we took our time, if you have a question, please stop me, ask anything. This is our opportunity to do it. The first thing I figured out, we got to go. Yeah, thank you, Bob. Realizing that we are in a public meeting, our second item. First item is call to order. Second item is public comments. Citizens who desire to address the public board commissions on any matters on the agenda may sign up to do so prior to the meeting. Public comments will be received during that portion of the meeting. Please limit comments to 3 minutes. No discussion or final actions will be taken. Do we have anybody who signed up? So we have no people that have signed up. So we're going to move on to the regular agenda, which is just to receive the update on all the reinvestment zones. Financing plan. I'm going to review the current projects. We have, if you don't see, we got about 10 items we're going to cover. A majority of them are in the various parks we have, and then just a couple quick pickups. And so you can see where these are concentrated, the discussions. And, again, if you have any questions, you just have to stop me, and I have no problems with that. Again, for the new ones, this is the actual parks or the colors. You got the airport, Corporate Park, Industrial Park, Synergy, which is where Panda is, your downtown, which is 6, and 7 is Tina. Those are our major parks. The other numbers are just areas within the city that we have projects going on. So we're going to start up with the industrial park, which is really the one that started us all. It is the original park. Our first project that is on your line here is this rail. It's the red line on the bottom of the sheet that goes to a spur that goes off to East Penn. We have made calls, talked to Adrian, I've had this in our plan. They are going to still want that rail spur, and they would still like us to leave it in the year that it is in 2025. We will keep in touch with them. If they want to adjust it, we will adjust, but otherwise right now, so the plans are ready to go, and it's a 2.187 project. Again, it's the rail spur that goes off for the new people, which is you, Bo. Tyler, you know that Tyler is new, but he has been through this circus so many times that you don't, we're going to tell Bo that, you know, there are like 3 or 4 major numbers, Bo, that we constantly look at on the funding. You know, one is where are we in the design, right? And what dollars there were, what is the construction, you know, that we're expecting. And then the construction admin is what we have as far as either David or whoever the city wants to do the administration of the contract. And then the last number is right away if we have any right away. So we're always just looking at those 4 numbers, and they're always listed, hopefully within the same quadrant on the financing plan. Second one, industrial park. I have sort of heard that this thing has already disappeared off of the financing plan, but as far as I'm concerned, it's still on here until we voted it off. And we are looking to take this off. It was $315,000, and I think we've all talked about relocating it.
Do you have a comment on this or potential opportunity? Ironically, with the redesign of Highway 43, and you know, we had bridge, we were at that grade, went back to bridge. And when we went back to bridge, the requirements for both class 1 railroads, whether it's VN or UP, actually raised about 30 inches, 2.5 feet. They went to double deckers on the rail. So here's what's ironic about that. I had to extend the bridge and lose fill because of that height where we had right away. Some people here will recall this. Back when we did the loop 10 plus years ago, we harvested that material from the loop because it was a loose job, the loop 363 textile portion, and parked it here on site 40.
That's the square.
Square, yeah, that's that square right there. And we are utilizing that material for this project, but we have excess. And so this may be an opportunity with the project we're having going on site 40 to take that material and kind of lose it and clean it up for Adrian. Just throw that out there. I wasn't aware we were grabbing the 315, but maybe an opportunity just because we're already there. You got a contractor on site that's literally working right next to the pile, actually moving part of the pile. But because of the redesign and the extension of the bridge, we're going to have excess material. So the good news is we had a better cut and fill number because the material was parked there. But with the redesign, we're going to have excess material. So I just want to throw that out.
Donna told me that number's already been swept too, right, Melissa, or no?
We've already completed that project. It was spent on a project. There's about $6,000 left.
Okay. It's gone. For this project, as we move forward on the outer loop, we have contingency. So if we're going to need something, that we still have a place with some dollars set in it. Second project, sewer extension, red line that went from right there in front of HEB up past the that section, the yellow outer loop that we have. It is in the ground. Again, the whole project is a completed project, so it will be one that we won't see again. It's on there for another reason. Still, we will talk about that as we move forward. One of the things that I had stated was in 2020, we began the process of making sure that we had enough water in the quadrant. We had Rick Casberg and Ginger come from KPA, give us an update on the whole water system. That was at the early stages of Meta. And we had approximately $7 million, really close to $16 million worth of water projects that the zone took over to make sure that we had water in that quadrant. So it was a big portion of what we did to make sure that the industrial park was ready. We're gonna go through these. Each one of the red lines represents additional water lines that we did to continue to push as much water and pressure into the North Industrial Park. One of them was called the 24-inch transmission line. It is under construction, a $2.56 million project. It's expected to be completed this month. Another one was the 12-inch water line clearly to Everhart. Anybody that's been in that quadrant, you can see them going down Everhart for quite a while, and it brings water right into that whole quadrant. It was is substantially complete and in service. Have some grass we got to do around Everhart and that, but that project again is done, and it was a 1.4449 project. Again, it is completed. The 920 plane, this is one of the major water lines that was the one that was really going to boost the amount of water we were pumping to that quadrant and to the lift station, or to the elevated storage tank. This project is 95% complete as far as the drawings. It is 5.99. Is this this is one that we are planning on holding. I was a little concerned because I had it in red. Does that mean none of them are in there for my brain? Just letting you know, I hadn't gone through this, so my brain might have to adjust and actually think, which is always hard at 7 a.m. for me. Again, this is a project. Huh?
Yeah.
This one we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was talking to myself.
Okay.
On my.
I don't want to engage in that conversation.
It is a really dark one. On my slides, I use my slides to make sure that I can turn the switch on, and so I thought I had anything that we were trying to move in red, so I didn't have to think, right? So I gotta think. This is a project, you guys, that we have talked to Ginger. We want to continue to be in conversations with the city. But again, I had a private meeting with Ginger, just, there are a string of emails out there with James and engineering that is saying, like, we just don't need this water until a project comes along. The other $7 million in projects we've done has put plenty of both pressure and quality of water up in there. And because we need the dollars, and because this project was mainly focused on getting water to Meta and Ocho, this is a project we would like to put on hold. The one little question on it is that we did get a DCEQ exception. They were reviewing the plans and said that they wanted us to really build a storage tank there. Engineer said there's no way we need it. They said, okay, here's the deal. You go build the line, we'll give you 6 months and prove that you don't need it, and then we'll give you that exception. David and Ginger are working with TCEQ to see if we can get that extended. Even if we don't get it extended, they gave it to us once. We think we can do it, and I think the maximum amount of time takes 3 months. And any project that comes into that quadrant, we would have enough time to react. So we got the plans done. We got most of our right of way. We're ready to go build this thing. Somebody comes along and says, guys, we want to pull the trigger. All we got to do is go back and either re-get our exception, or we're hoping to extend it out for another 2 years. So this is a project that we'd like to put the construction on hold. Any questions? There aren't many of these, and you can see that this is a good one to pick. We picked up $5 million. Another project in that quadrant is the transmission main. We call it the 363. It is, again, all design is complete. We have an expected completion for this water project in November. It's moving forward again. It's another one of those that really enhances the whole quadrant. We got the wastewater extension and equalization basin. This is a sewer project, and you drive down the loop, you can see that is being done. We had some savings on this in an earlier financing plan, but on this one, it is still just a project that is, completion in November, and we'll bring sewer into that quadrant. So it'll stay on probably until the next financing plan, and then we clean them up. But it isn't completed, so we'll keep it on. The, Pepper Creek trunk sewer, again, these projects, if you think about it, when you're doubling the water use in a quadrant, a lot of that water's got to end up going down to the sewer plant. Most of these projects had large water uses and a lot of discharge. Some of these have also been able to put on hold because the water use in that quadrant is, way less than half of what they were expecting. So this is a along Kegley, you can see the yellow lines still have some right of ways up in the top corner. I got little notes on all of these slides just so that David can keep us updated as to like where we are on the project. It's very difficult for legally to get your right of ways done, so it always doesn't happen right off the bat. This is a project, and there's my red. See, oh, that helps you. This is a project that we also would like to put on hold again. We don't really need it. The last time we had reviewed this with David, we still had, the easements remaining. If you see the bottom corner, it sort of tells you how many we need and how many we received. So, really a double fold on this one. We're putting it on hold, and really it isn't ready to be released anyway. And we will wait until we get, more money and or a heads up that a project is going to require us to go down and finish this project.
Do we have to do both of those projects at the same time if we activate one?
The water and sewer,
Well, yeah,
totally dependent on usage. Here I'm answering like I'm an engineer, but really, how much water, how much stays. There are some clients that will say like, we need X amount of water, and what discharge is none. Right, it means that their water is actually used. Others will say, hey, we need X amount of water, and almost 100% of it is no. One of the reasons that we're holding these certain projects is that we don't know.
Yeah.
But what's great is that the plans are done, ready to build. So that answer will come from him at such a time that
they're not
project.
necessarily linked. It's not, if we activate this, we don't have to pick up 10 million bucks.
Not necessarily. It would, because we don't know exactly what the new client is, what that, what sort of discharge is. We would run that through the model and make sure we were good and then know from that.
Got it.
And I also tell you that if we end up with a land sale or another project that even says we don't need it, but is a substantial increment, some of these in our meetings, we will start really trying to have a quarterly meeting. We'll say, hey guys, is it worth now that we have X increment coming in for us to systematically release these so we don't overrun the city with projects all at one time? It's sort of nice. As you know, that 2021, 2022 was a sprint. Most every project to get ready for Meadow, what was the sprint? We were like delivering at the day they needed it. And when they delayed, it gave us some time. So there are projects, all the ones that are on hold, we're going to keep them on our plan. We're going to really look at them, but they're pushed out. And we'll reactivate them as soon as the increments would allow us.
Got it.
If you've been out to that quadrant also, one of our projects was the 3 million gallon elevated storage tank and the 24-inch transmission main. If you've been out there, you'll see this. That was a 7.266,691 elevated storage tank. We're about to walk away from most of our water projects, meaning in our financing plan. We've done close to $15 million worth of water projects already in this quadrant, and I think it puts us at a good spot. Staff has asked, John, will you make sure that I get with David Olson and his staff on these water needs? For me to do it very quickly, we've trusted what Ginger and KPA, they've got the model in the system, and they still say that currently we have absolutely enough water in this quadrant to handle the projects that are currently there, and we'll just see what EDC brings us, and we hope they do something quick so that we can keep on moving. Again, that was all expected completion in November, and that will put this project to a completion. One of our items on the Finance plan was a little green spot there. We had a little choke point for sewer. It was not required, and so all three of these, right now it's just not required. So those funds will be reallocated or already have been. But I think we can really begin to just take this plan right off our list, and you won't see it again. North Industrial Park, we about a year and a quarter ago, we realized we were getting close to about 3 really nice tracks, and if they're gone, and at that particular point they were gone, we needed to begin the process of saying, how are we going to go to the north? Don't want to go into an executive session right now. We have done a quick master plan on this just to start looking at it, and if we have time, I think I would dive into this. It has a lot to do with buying land and real estate, and so we'd have to go into executive session. But having said that, we spent about $100,000 on the initial plan, and we are asking for an additional 150 in working with EDC and working with clients and looking as we dove into that $100,000 project, we had realized very quickly that we could expand the scope on this and really get ourselves another step forward so that we could actually let this project go. The slide before began to show you realignments of roads and how we're going to do it. And again, I will go into the executive section later to just show you that. But here, as far as our financing plan, we'd like to add 150 so that we can complete that project. And in completing that project, we have already begun to earmark how we will move forward so that the EDC can begin marketing the properties that we've already purchased in that quadrant. And so to do that, as you know, we got 4 things we're going to need: water, sewer, gas, and road, right? And so our initial financing plan had pie in the sky numbers that we just pulled out of in a sort of an original schematic. As we detailed it, we've got more detailed numbers. We had 195 in here for that water line. Now that we know exactly what we want, we've adjusted our OPC from the 2,170,000 down to 1.584, mainly due that water line in the original one went way north, and we have really pulled the scope of the water line back a little within the design that we have. Also, because of land purchases that have already been handled, if they're and closed, we're not going to need the right of way, so we can take that right of way number down to 0. Also, to feed that whole quadrant, LEO1 extension is in there. That water takes it from really Moore's Mill, where it currently is at the bottom in the blue by the green, takes it all the way into the quadrant. Where it ends is a tract of land we already own. That is a part of the bid for the outer loop. The numbers that we had in there were working. We currently have 10 of the easements. We need 14. I think that 10 is now at 11. We're still 3 short. Most of them are on south of Moore's Mill. Hopefully we'll be able to get these before this project actually needs it. The 1 million is close enough. I'm not going to adjust this contract gain, which you'll be seeing in a minute, with more at 900,000. Right. I don't know if we adjust it to the number. It might be worthwhile holding it just to confirm we won't need any other right away numbers. So his numbers, I'm just holding right where they are. And I think that's what everybody's done, Melissa. Yeah. Please tell me if I'm in a different place than you. Also, the old Howard improvements, our original was just going up Moore's Mill. Now that we have picked up, Old Howard, now that we've picked up some property and working with various clients, we readjusted that road more to that master plan that I'll show you later. The improvements, again, we need to revise, and we also revised the design. We had told David to do a Winlet Road design, just a 3-lane. We felt with the amount of properties that are being bought and the way that it connects with that outer loop, that we should do a good 1,500 foot of divided 4-lane and then road ourselves down to a Winlet Road. So in revising that to our master plan, design's gone up to 658. Revising our OPC considerably from the 3.7 up to 6.543. So that is a revision, a fairly large add to our, probably one of the second largest add to this financing plan. That's why we've had to pick up dollars. Well,
Just extending the length of that road.
yeah, we extended it, redesigned it, adjusted for our OPCs. That's an OPC, and these road OPCs are changing on a quarterly basis.
I have a question on
Yes,
that.
ma'am.
When you look at the money that was currently in the financing plan for the water line, Old Howard road improvements, it was 8.3 million.
Mm-hmm.
And the new OPC is 9,348,000. Does the wastewater line you talked about, where's that number?
Yeah, we are in the last minute, Bob threw $1 million sewer line on there. I didn't adjust this because I enjoy sleeping. That sewer line, if you'll go all the way back, I'm not gonna go backwards.
Okay.
I went back to the site on the, that showed the extension that crosses over the loop that we just completed and sits over there by Brandon Watley stuff. We got a manhole sitting there. In the master plan that I'm gonna show you later, there is a phase 1 that is in that quadrant. We'd like to connect to that sewer line and run that up there, and that would give us, that's how we will sewer phase 1. LEO 1 comes from the east, comes underneath the track and is sitting out there in the middle of a track we bought there. We are not going to extend that line until we know how we're gonna break it up and actually get a client. But all of that sewer will be on our property, so for our ability to put it in the ground will be very simple. We don't want to run a sewer line all the way over to Old Howard and then find out that what it is that's running right through the middle of a potential future client. So until we really get our arms around that, LEO 1 sits out there. Bob wanted to make sure we had money up to phase 1. I believe that email went out in the last day or two, but I didn't get it.
Tyler and Gary, so that means that only need 2, not 3.
Yeah.
Only 2 million added for Old Howard, not 3 million, not 2 plus 1.
That's not what I understood.
You want the additional million right now.
Yes.
And so you need 10,348,000.
You know, these numbers, I've got these if you want, if you're looking at the OPCs, my number, I was a little brain dead. I had 4,750,000. That's what we have. When you take the road at 5,953,000, you take the drainage at 1,573,000, you add the sewer at 1, you end up with 8,526,000. Right, when you take 8,526,000, subtract that 4,750,000, we need 3,776,000 additional.
You need 2, Kelly, we can cover it real quick if you want to.
Yeah.
That spreadsheet that I told you, it's in,
I don't think you're picking up the right of way dollars.
The savings from the right of way.
When I take 380,170,
Staff.
500 and 3.7, it comes up to 4,750,000,
That is correct.
right? So you got 4,750,000 sitting out there. I need 8,526,000. The difference between that is 3,776,000.
you sort by date.
I think they're netting out the million on the right of way that we're not right on line 38.
I netted that out in the slide before.
You go to this one here.
Dating, yeah. On my sheet, yeah. On my sheet that I went over.
But I think they're fine.
That, when you take those lines, 36, 7, 38, 39, 44, 45, 46, and 47, You get the 8,350,000.
I agree.
Okay, and then if I took
Yeah.
the OPC that we had, it was 9,348,000. And then I added $1 million. So we only need 2 million.
Yeah, I kept mine by line items, right? I didn't confuse myself. And so on those items 38 and 39, that is a specific project. And so what I had showed on my sheet, if you guys look at it, was a savings of 1,448,000. Same thing.
We're good at two.
So we agree.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah.
That was for, oh.
Can you, who has the keyboard?
I do.
Can you like hit like 65 enter?
That was 65.
I don't know
I
what
didn't know
slide he
what
was
you were
on,
It's slide 36.
36 enter.
Good job, Brandon, trying to get.
Right, hey, we're doing really.
That stop was worth $1 million.
This particular part,
Stop score.
but this particular portion of our projects are the ones where we picked up the most savings and are spending the most money in this part. And so, once we get through this, we're gonna blow through it. And I agree with that. Sorry, Tracy, just how I look at it. I'm going project by project on this list rather than confusing them. Tyler does that to me all the time. And he's not a new member.
New guy gets. I think you were on slide 30.
Yeah, that's slide 36. This is an upsizing that we needed for Project Ocho, which was to blow that line all the way up to the burn track. This is also one that we're gonna put on hold because we're not sure what's gonna go on the burn track. We call it the burn track. We don't have another name for it, do we?
That's what we bought.
I didn't know if it became a site 15.
We have, so we bought it after our last site certification, so it never got assigned a number.
So for you, Bo, when somebody says burn track, it's one on the loop. We got site C. This is, again, a 2.9 and a 105 that we are, putting on hold to pick up some dollars. So got about 3.5 million on this. We have a $250,000 study and working with David on both plants. To the left, we've got Dozier, on the right, we got the Temple Belt. Again, we just feel like it's really important to get our arms definitely around our capacities. We've learned a lot about BOD, which is the fats that are in the water that settle down because of water. Savings, what you can do is you can be good with capacity and not with BOD. So we learned a lot about wastewater that we didn't want to learn, and we want to make sure the zone that if there is anything that we need to do with Public Works, making sure that we have capacity in our two plants, so that when we buy land, that we don't just have land, streets, water and sewer lines out there and find out that we can't get down to the plant and we can't handle it. So we're really just focusing in on it and educating ourselves a little bit. So we spent that 250, getting close to completion as far as the contract and laying out the project, but a lot of work to do to knowing exactly what we can do to help that project. Moving on, we're going to move to the corporate campus. We had a fairly sizable, really nice looking master plan to convert that corporate campus into a multi-mixed use project that has a combination of office, retail, and housing. We still firmly believe that if our growth in the corporate campus area is going to happen, that we've got to follow the national trend, which is to bring the people into that park. You can see that throughout the United States. We just haven't focused on it like we should, you guys. In our plan, we had an additional $750,000 so that we could use it to update the master plan. A little bit of work we need to do with the McLean Company when there was a change in leadership over there. It set us back a little bit, but we have a considerable amount of land in this quadrant that still needs to be converted into a mixed use project. If anybody wants and hasn't, they should get the master plan. They could email David and he can give it to you. It's a great master plan, pretty good. And I believe it was adopted by council. Just need to see what we can do about updating it and moving this project forward. I would tell you that pieces of this master plan are being taken and added to the master plan that Covey is doing for that north plant. And so just to that north flat planning area. And the reason we expanded that scope of work to the north is that every time Adrian goes and talks to clients, one of the first things they ask him after the answer is, yes, we have land, yes, we have capacity, yes, we want you here, is, well, can you have enough people to fill our plant? And so on our master plan, we are dropping in those plats that are in the area and also adding in that plan the available subdivisions in Temple, Texas, so that they can look at it and say, oh my God, you guys have 6,000 paper lots and you're ready to go and you have capacity in the entitlements for them. Therefore, that question's answered and they can move on. So that'll be a part of that master plan as we move forward. On to the crossroads, we had done quite a bit of helping on parks. Kevin, you've got a beautiful park out there, and it is just one of the shining stars as far as park system in Temple. Everybody that comes through here, just recently, I can't remember who it was. Somebody just told me they had somebody come through town and they couldn't believe that. I think you're the one that told me. It might have been some Waco people or something. And that's how they came into town to look at it. And they're just like, oh my God, you have just the most beautiful park. We feel one of the things that we have on our radar screen is lighting the bridges. And because it is being used so much, it's a fairly dark trail. And we were just gonna light this bridge. That's why this is the picture. We wanted to make sure that the one right there by Old Howard and Loop was done. What we did is we expanded the scope, sort of said, let's go look at the whole deal all the way over to Green Bridge. Found out how much it would be. We broke it down and we sort of paused and went on to Meta. I still believe that this is something that we should keep on the radar screen to help Kevin, unless he doesn't need the money, and still try to light as much of that trail as we can. That's just this particular part, but as far as Crossroads Park, we're also out there to sort of help as far as economic development. There is a large tract of land in his master plan that is between Prairie View and Airport that right now is overgrown. We've got a bunch of people sitting out there and living, and we got a lot of kids playing there. So one of the things that Bob has asked us to try to get on in the future is going ahead and clearing that field so that it doesn't become an encampment and it shows better. If you guys ever look at when you take that amount of land cleared up and that, and lots to say, no money pending funding. Funding, it is a project we're not going to walk away from, but until we can get some funding, get our arms around our projects, that is there. We had a beautiful day, beautiful park. We had this nice little facility out there and it was just sitting on a hill, and we went and spent some money in hopes in 3 years that those green little circles turn into trees and helps block that maintenance building. That is complete, been done. Again, just looking forward to it growing and doing this job. We have the outer loops. We've kept them in a whole group. So you can see that whole group of outer, all outer loop. This is what we had just bid, that section from Winlet to I-35. For those who don't know, one of the reasons that it sort of got delayed is because we got, I believe, Adrian said 800 additional truck rotations per day by HEB, East Penn, and Niagara. Because of that, we were ready to pull the trigger on this loop, but not fly the railroad. And we all decided, my God, if we're going to do this thing, we got to fly the railroad. That railroad's the yellow red line in the middle. And so we had David go back and get that design from the original time that we started this project to when we finally got through design. Santa Fe had changed their requirements. They raised the bridges, and I think we had clear 15. Now they're at 17. I just made those numbers up close enough. And it really, the big part of this, I mean, half of this number, you guys, is jumping that dang railroad, but we're done. For those that don't know, the intersection at Berger on I-35, the zone about 12 years ago designed this loop to make sure that when we tied into I-35, it was ready. That proves what we can do is anytime you can spend money, get out in front of TxDOT, you can do that. Like right now to the south, we're gonna talk about this in a minute, that we're gonna take this loop and bump it back into the south side, and TxDOT's really working David over a little bit on that. What's nice up here is this section is in, we're gonna hook into it. The funding on this is one of those items that was really
Can you go back to that just a second, make a
yes,
comment?
sir.
Don't overlook that connection there, because the work that the zone had done and designing all that, getting it ready 10 years ago, 12 years ago, put it with TxDOT. TxDOT funded that exchange there, which is probably what, $20 million?
Bridge, yeah.
Yeah,
At least, it was the city, the zone, we did not have to pay because of the planning that we're doing. And looking to do the same thing down south as well. Anyway.
You can spend a lot of time talking about that. If you go down south, we're gonna have a slide here in a minute that we're trying to figure out one of the 4 places that we're gonna jump into that section out there by the DPS. And so what we're trying to do again is get out in front, because if we design it, they'll stick it in their plan. And as you read in the paper, that I-14 connection from Belton to the Temple Loop that is now designated as I-14, they have funded, and we're getting close to where they're gonna be able to release that. So not only are they taking 14 from Belton to Temple, we're gonna have this major intersection of a loop there. And so we're gonna win by making sure that our designs are ready for them and they're already evaluated. So it's really a good deal. Again, 34.6, it looks like we're gonna need to take that number up to 43,683. My numbers, you know, Melissa and Tracy, you guys, they always clean up my numbers. You know, I'm hoping, you know, I think the big deal here is you take what we had and add everything that we think it's gonna take, with the caveat that we're adding 2 million for contingency, a fairly big project, not to have additional dollars. As you heard with David thought he was gonna use that 315 and add to it on our very first item. You know, already he's, you know, there will be items on this project that we're gonna have to come back and change orders. Tracy wanted to make sure she had dry powder for that so that we can do it. That's the 2 million. Construction admin, did you change your number? Is that your number?
My number did adjust, but I'm still under that admin.
That's what I thought. That was really nice.
Can you send us what your admin number is?
I'm sorry?
Can you
Yeah.
send that number to us?
Yeah, I can. I've sent it to Public Works, but I can forward it to you. What's my computer starts?
Was 1358, something like that, I heard.
Because that has construction
It was like
admin for,
1318.
Yeah, well, it's about $50,000, $60,000 decrease from that number. He will get it. That's what I mean by, you know,
60,000.
there's little numbers that Tracy
I think we're
and
good.
them, this is a pre-meeting, so that by next Wednesday, we will have Tyler and Gary will have really sort of worked with Melissa and Tracy to make sure that it balances. We're still a little bit out of balance, but we'll get her figured out. There's, you know, these were the 2 bidders. There is a committee working to make the choice, so they just go through both of these and determine. So right now, we don't know who they've chosen. And so what I did is I just took the higher number so that we knew that we were covered, because we really don't know how those evaluations come in. They have a group, everybody does a individual analysis, do a Zoom, and we'll see how it settles. But I think by Wednesday, we will know where they are. We have a real quick trigger here. We did a timeline almost a month ago that was gonna make sure that we could get this bid, do this group ready for our full board on the council so that we can stay on track to release a contract within the guidelines we set forward. And I think we're on pace to be able to do that. Any questions on this?
I just have a question. Just trying to get my direction straight. So you said I-14 from Belton to Temple?
Yeah,
And then is that to the loop?
yeah.
Okay, and then it goes
From
east?
the loop all the way through Rogers.
Okay,
And when we get, so right now you got the Rogers bypass, that is the current route. And so if you're reading in the paper right now, they've gone past us and now it's into whatever county that is. all the way to College Station. And I think that was in the paper. They're already starting to show the various alignments. But
Okay,
we've worked pretty good with Cameron and been talking to them. A big decision on their part of they're gonna loop away or go, with it. And so it's really, we're done today. I mean, we have gone through all of that in 2016. Multiple routes. They decided that we would stay on the current route. They still have a caveat in the master plan that maybe someday they're gonna want to blow all the way through Little River Academy and all that. You had to jump the river about 9 million times. The environmentals were gonna take way too long. We already have a highway, you got a highway and on I-35, you got a loop structure, and you got 4 lanes all the way to Cameron, and you already have Congress approval from our congressman to do what we need to do. So that's a really long story to say, yeah, it really looks like I-14 is gonna go through our community. The only really piece that they gotta work on is Fifth Street to pass the loop.
And just to
Really,
be
if
clear,
that
this,
we
this
can face
project is not
nothing to
that,
do with it.
that this is north from Winland to I-35.
okay. All right.
You were just curious.
Yeah.
I can always
I may have
answer.
missed it. Thank you.
This loop, that's the red line we're hooking onto that Bob wants to hook onto to go north, you guys, just for it. This is really just talking about that particular part of the loop that is now complete. I think all numbers, and we're moving on to the next piece with the project we just talked about. And that was this section. This was McLean to Central Parkway, which is also complete and has been done. So these are all projects that are complete that we won't see on my slideshow and or in our deal anymore. The outer loop section that just got bid. Now we're heading south. We have helped the city on the south loop, which goes from 2305 to I-35. This section is at Tarver and goes to Riverside Trail. It is released. A pretty extensive drainage project is underway by the city right now. But this gets you almost to I-35. For us, we funded, I guess, some of the design work and some of the right away, right? It really wasn't a zone project. We're just backfilling and helping these projects get done. If we were doing this project and the next one, we wouldn't be connected into I-35 where that I-14 is, and we wouldn't be able to do it. That's this slide right here. See, this slide is the next phase. And as you can see, David, the TxDOT made him say, okay, where can you connect in? Hey, here's all the places we can connect in. We had chosen a route. They're like, that's really good. We'd love to spend as much time as we can to slow your project down so that we can, and if somebody's on there, sorry. We had a route picked, but they want to make sure that something that was built in the 1700s isn't, underground there, and we're going to disturb it. You gotta love the state. They do give us money, and this project, we're still hoping, look at David looking good. We really feel that the dollars that we have for the right of way on here is considerably out. I mean, in his estimation, we could still be a full year in getting TxDOT's approval, and therefore probably won't even begin doing too much of the right of way acquisition until into 25, 26.
So we haven't bought any right away on any of those.
We have.
Yeah.
What happens if they change the route?
Good question.
Park. Linear park.
They do get to weigh in. That section of the loop we had, 3 slides ago, took 3 years to get there, just to get through the state. And, really, we're the ones, we're doing the right thing. We're getting these things laid out there. We're laying them out and pushing forward. Again, we think this is a place. We have 1,767,000 sitting in the kitty at 2023. with our best estimation, we're not gonna need it till 2026. It's really bad when you're searching for money and you really, know that you're not gonna need it. We don't have a decision then to do it, so we should put any purchase on the hold, wait until we get a decision from the state. When we get the decision from the state, we're gonna have to get right of entries. When we get right of entries, we'll go out there and get our right of way. All of that, there's no question, will push us into 2026. That's our opinion. As you know, we've also taken the east loop and begun to just lay out where we think it could go from the same burger to the north to somewhere over there in I-14. You guys, the layouts that we did for the northwest loop, we started, I believe, in somewhere in 99.
Yes,
Yeah,
almost 25 years. ago.
These are 30-year-old projects. I know there's been people who are like, geez, you're putting a red line on here, you gotta do it. I mean, as you know, these red lines just begin the process of looking at where should we lay down a loop in the next 30 to 40 years if we continue to double. 30 years ago, we were at 50,000 population. We're at 150 years, or 30 years from now, we'll be at 150. You're going to need this loop. We need the process of beginning to look at it. The properties come available. You try to buy them up and down that whole thing out east. We have been hit by so many large tracts that red line goes through to purchase, but we just don't have the dollars, and it's 30 years out. So we just sort of move on. There are sections of that we would like to begin the process of seeing if we can move to it, like little teeny segments, right? This one segment sits on the current right of way almost. You're only going to need to expand your right of way, north and south. That again is up at the burger. That is a section we should look at. It's real close to I-35. There are individuals looking at it. You got pretty good industry there, and it's very problematic, you guys, because of the Union Pacific road is right on I-35. This will be a fun one to do, but we should at least know that it's there. It's a $12.5 million project. That was in 2 years ago. Dollars, it's probably closer to a $20 million project right now. But it's out there. We know it. That's the other one is down to the south. As you know, Green Data's down there. You got I-14 coming across. And again, it's a red line on a piece of paper. Is there a way for us to begin the process of knowing where we can hook in? TxDOT already knows that intersection at Heidenheimer is where we're going to connect in, because they've done a major intersection there. So we start there, and we know we're up here at Lorraine Drive. We need to connect to. So over the next, 10 years, we need the process of figuring out how we can connect the two. That project is complete. David did a quick flyover. We've taken it, put a red line on the paper to see if we can take it anywhere. Right, moving on to the Synergy Parks. Synergy Parks down where Panda is. You can see Panda in the bottom left. The pink is Green Data. They make Bitcoins and they are operational. They have dollars they've done that they put into this project. So one of the first numbers you see on the Synergy Park are those dollars that we will be paying to them over a 3-year period for the dollars that they have already put into that. This is they have put an incredible amount of time and still putting time into this project and this actual quadrant. Again, in your finance plan, those will be popped up. Those are commitments that have to be followed through on. In the process of Green Data coming and land being bought over there, similar to the northwest quadrant, we realized that the southeast quadrant needed water upgrades. We began working with Public Works and staff to determine, is there any way that the zone can help? Anytime the zone can take increments and plug it into there, it frees up dollars for the city to use for private versus the commercial uses. So it's been a good way for us, just like the Northwest. Anytime you can take a full quadrant of your city and supply dollars by using the increment that we've been given and blessed with by the people who created this. We thought we should do that in the southeast also. it was one project. It's a lot to digest as a single project, so we split it up. This is a really important, small little piece of water that, you know, comes from Lorraine Drive, goes underneath the tracks and hooks into a water line over there in MLK. It really increases pressure flow. And, you know, I'll get way off of my skis, but this is an important connection to begin to help making sure that the Synergy Park has sufficient water to take in a client or two. All right, it is currently ready. I think we're still waiting for some easements, and ROEs are right of entry. You got to have right of entry so you can go do work on their property, and then you come back and do ROW, which is buying the right of way. This project, I may not have updated that, but I think the plans are completed and are sitting at the city waiting to be signed off. This is a project we really need to get going. They've got a pump station G. Is that what that is? A G pump station?
Avenue G.
Avenue G pump station, which is not our project, which is a significant water project that helps that quadrant. This will be the first project that we do to add on. It helps the flow down there so that we can do possibly something on this yellow square or some square. This yellow square is in the original zone, and you can see Panda to the south, the Best Right or whatever they're called. You know, one of the things that we learned in the process of beginning to make sure that the southeast quadrant is ready is that this tract of land doesn't have sewer, but that David, when he did all of the designs down there, made sure he had right of way to bring sewer over into this piece. So I asked, well, how much is that water or sewer line gonna be? And it is the design 65,000, construction 650, and that will open that up. You cannot sell that yellow square without knowing this number. Now, we put numbers on here, 2024, 2025, Tracy knows, so we don't have to do this project. I threw it out there. It needs to be on our sheet and ready and being somewhere in our financing plan so that if EDC marketing team goes out and sells that, you guys know what the number is. We know what it is. We know that. And my suggestion would be to get the design done and on the shelf like other projects. Because if somebody buys that yellow thing, that little yellow square, we have plenty of time if the plans are done and the right of way is there to get that sewer line done. So where you plug this in, this is your call. Financing, Gary and Tyler and Bob, this is the project we need on the radar screen. We need to put it in our plan, and you plug it where you can. If we can pick up $65,000 and do a kabuki dance, because then it would be ready. If you don't have it, we just wait. This is the water system to the southeast. You know, we could go into a long story, which I would love to do, but everybody wanted to get to work. But I would tell you that the southeast quadrant is one of the more important quadrants for our community in the next, 25, 30 years. Everything that is happening to the south of us, as in the Samsung is down 95, our move over to with I-14 heading to College Station, with available land, available sewer. One of the things we realized very quickly is we don't have that green line over into this quadrant. You can actually tell that just by looking at all the blue lines. The blue lines represent all the water lines we have in our community. And you can see the growth is everything north of that green line. And right now, almost all plats and growth, two schools are heading to the south, and a third school system coming at us with Little River Academy, which is even south of this. You guys, this quadrant is the growth corridor for the next 25 years of our community. And so we got to get that green line from the water plant on the left side. Right, they're making water. Matoush just finished an upgrade or getting close to an upgrade in that plant, which creates and makes a whole bunch more water. Problem is, you make water, you got to get it from one end to another. So that green line gets it over. The red squares are the pump stations that boost the water and heads on over into the quadrant. Right. So this is one section. Right. It is under construction. Well, not under construction. It is under design. Again, the same conversation we had. If we can go ahead and get the design done, that really helps. This particular project had 59 right of entry, 59 pieces of right away that we will need to build that $10 million line. And I guess as of the last time we reviewed it, we had 0. So those are right of entries. You can't really design until you get your ROEs done. A very important project, and we just keep working with staff to attempt to get these ROEs done so that we can move forward. There is a section of water line. This is just the pump station, that red line. It's a separate actual piece to the line between 5th and 33rd. It's in progress. It only needs one piece of right of way for it to be done. It's a $6 million project. It's in our financing plan. Again, I think each one of these pieces, we will get the designs done. These funding mechanisms will just come when, if the dollars are available and if the project is ready to move forward. This is really a 1-year-old project, you guys. 2023 is when we started these water projects. Again, the very first thing you try to do is get that design done so that you can determine your right of way from your right of way and start your construction. That fiscal 2026 possibly, will be a floating number until such time that the plans are done and all right of way is apart. That's the same for most of these projects. You've got the GST, that's your, what does that stand for? I knew it just.
Ground storage tank.
Yeah, ground storage tank. To Lorraine, that's another piece that's picked up at 5th Street and coming over to Lorraine. Again, you can just see the volume of right of ways that are needed for these projects. This one, we need 23 right of entries. We got $825,000 sitting there ready to go. This one's got a 90% review set's already been completed. So this one is, again, we'll just be waiting on right of way. So the construction plans and designs will be sitting on the shelf. Our fundings, those 2028s, the right of way is really, again, just dependent on getting those completed. This line C runs along the railroad track. There is a grant that the city has right now to build that hike and bike trail. I believe the city's got a fairly large piece in their budget to take it from 5th Street, possibly all the way considerably down 93, I believe, right? That's it.
We do have some funding in our budget, and we're also trying to get some grant funds to be able to rehab the bridge and get it all the way to 93.
This is a great project for Temple, Texas to get this hike and bike trail. We've got some substantial hike and bikes up into in the Northwest. As a developer, I was always skeptical on sidewalks and hike and bike trails. I'm a born again. I will tell you that when you put these in, it's probably the #1 used item of any of our subdivision. And I really do say, you guys, I was not one who believed in it. And this hike and bike, it needs to be done. Probably one of the #1 search items for community relocation. So if a company is going to move in here, if you look at the Google searches, the #1 search for owners and those who want to move in a community is to look at your hike and bike and sidewalk system. Crazy thought, but it really is. So we as a group are supporting anything we can do to keep that project going. This section is funded. Plans are done and probably will be released hopefully in the next 6 months. The Lorraine Drive, this is a road. If you go out there, it goes to Green Data. It's already rough cut, force mains up and down it. This is one of those things that I throw in Gary's lap. This thing is funded for 2025. If there was any possible way that we could look at this whole plethora of projects we have and move this forward, it would be worthwhile. We've got land, we've got water, we've got sewer, we're ready to market this. It doesn't have a road and it will be built in 2025. Melissa, Tracy, I don't think by the looks of anything and moving it into 25 has any chance in heck to do that. But if there was a way to flip projects that we're not needing in 25 into 26, and move this thing forward, it would be wonderful.
It is in.
It's in 25. I meant
You want to
24.
Yeah, okay.
It's ready to go. Just I know you've seen that, and it's just, I keep putting that on there. From project chair, that's it, right? As a zone, EDC continually call us, you drive out there, this is ready to build green data on the other end, they're sitting down there with $1 billion plant, they don't have road in front of them unless somebody else has already done it. I wish we could move this. How about that for commentary?
Noted.
Yeah. You know, it just needs to be done. Downtown, we're getting close here, man. Downtown city center is the first one on your downtowns. That is released. You can see Bo's beautiful restaurant down there. Oh, that's really a nice addition to this quadrant. You guys, this quadrant is getting really ready to come to completion here in the next 12 months. As you know, we've spent But that whole quadrant is really coming together. These are the dollars. I mean, all our designs complete. We are waiting for those scaffolding to come off of the Han. Will be a happy day when that stuff comes down, because most of the work we need to do is down below those scaffoldings. That's what we're waiting on, for them to finish that part.
Is there a date on that?
Which date? The one they gave us? Yeah, there's all kinds of dates on that. Not to be funny, but they've given, is there a current date?
Coping came in, so that's a good sign. You know,
6 months?
Park.
No, but
We've shifted, you know, we were going 6th, 2nd, 4th, Central. We've shifted 6th, we've done, we just gotta strike that. We're gonna go Central from 6th to 4th, because that's what's open. Do the eastern crosswalk. And then hopefully, once we get that done, scaffolding's down, we can go start the rest.
yeah, I think I've told everybody watching this project, I mean, when we did this, even with Russell bidding this, we were really glad he got, because he knew but there was no way of heck that it was just gonna be like it should be, which is you start on one end and go to the other and complete it. Find that he's doing pieces parts, which is, he just said, until this day you're gonna be able to get a road. And we are completely dependent on Turner Behringer. And what they're doing is beautiful. I mean, it's gonna be incredibly beautiful. That project is just waiting on that. Right, and so they've given us multiple dates, so our completion date is already past us, original.
I'm sorry to interrupt. David, what did you say you were going to be in the flip?
Yeah, so we've completed, you probably seen it paved, but in front of Weirdos and by the 4th Street garage. Scaffolding, so originally we were gonna do 6th, then go to 2nd. But, you know, there's Turner Behringer still working, you know, through Texas Historical Commission. They had to do some things. So we still have scaffolding there. And of course, one of the things that we have to do is go building face to building face. Just because, you know, downtown's at an age where we really don't meet ADA anywhere. And we have to bring that up to those codes.
Yeah.
So we've shifted to what we have open, which is Central from 6th to the east side of 4th.
Got it.
Which will benefit us a little bit, that we will be having ADA access for the 4th Street garage around, at least a portion of the way around. And then hopefully once we have that done, then we can shift over, you know, continue on, scaffolding will be down.
So when you're looking at this, see, unfortunately, the garage is ready to open up, right?
Yes.
And the street sections where you go in is ready to open up. So you can go park your car in there, and then when you get out of your car and come to the walkway, you gotta figure out where the heck can I go, because he's got construction. And so I believe he's working with all of the vendors in that quadrant to see if there are some temporary crossings and walking and whatever we can do to try to get people out of that garage into their destination. And kudos to you in working with a local Russell to try to figure that out. The lighting is just one of those projects that you wonder why we've all done commentary. You know, about 10 years ago, Leadership Temple came and they had $30,000 to do this $400,000 project that they were going to do in a year. And 12 years later, we're still trying to get people to allow us to put lights on their buildings. Kudos to the city again on attempting to get as many of these properties ready to go. There were 61 that we wanted to do, right? We got 43, and my understanding is we're pulling the trigger, and it is what it is, and we'll do what we can do, and that's what we'll do. You would never think that the 18 don't want a light on top, but we just got to move forward. MLK festivals, you guys, is really a wonderful thing. Electric just beat the heck out of us. Electric will continue to beat the heck out of us in downtown anytime you're trying to figure out how to take something that's above ground, put it underground, take old switches and turn them into new switches, take old transformers and put them into new, you're talking big dollars. We ventured into this project again also 15 years ago, and we're rebuilding downtown. You know, the current project was 526, I believe, but that's completed. And so we are done with the MLK Festival Fields, which is a good project. First Street Garage is actually open. If you haven't gone through it, you should drive to the top and stand and look over, and then you've seen a project we've done. This is a, you know, really great project for us. Again, got a little video. This is David testing out his marketing staff. Check this out. He's got half of it is in daylight and half of it in dark. And it's mirrored up. Pretty amazing little deal you did there. So you had to shoot it from the exact same spot. That's what computers will do for you. That's a fun picture.
AI work.
You went?
AI work.
No, actually, we shot it at night, shot it during the day, and I take zero credit for this. I couldn't do this if I wanted to, but we have some staff that's pretty talented at it, so.
That's a great project to have done, you guys. You know, it's a $6 million, almost $7 million project. It's completed.
Lots of people are parking in it.
Yeah.
I don't know what this one's doing if we didn't get it out of there, right? We've already talked about it.
Yep.
Avenue C, main town MLK, a lot of this is already done, you guys. This section is, again, you know, doing the downtown stuff, which is important, getting us over to MLK, and then from MLK all the way to 24th Street. A lot of this, again, has to do with getting easements, getting right away so that we can go from one place to the other. We got construction funding out there in 2027. Hopefully, we keep on moving this project. Just wondering, I changed up anything? No, better look at my note. No, I think we're just still good to go. The, both of these projects are long-term, not long-term, but, you know, are brownfields. You know, you're going through other people's properties and you got amass all the right of ways to do with this 24th. Cedar Central is actually pretty close to being ready to go. Construction of 2.8 in 2027, waiting for dollars. And this, we picked this one, and this, there's some questions on project committee on this project when we were out searching for funds, you guys. We had 1.7 for this. We did a 30% design. We were spending Meta and Ocho dollars. I think we were pretty full of ourselves and we were going to get a lot of increment. And you have to have in your financing plan ways to spend it. This is one of those that as a group, we have said if there's any way to put this right away on hold, since we're really not totally pushing over there, we can pick up 1.7 and do it when we got an increment. That is, again, one of those things I throw in Gary's lap to work with Tracy and Melissa on to see if they need 1.7. This would be a great place to put a hold and push it. 3rd Street, this is a project that, you know, taking the over the railroad and attaching it into Veterans Boulevard. Plans are complete. We had a little bit of scope expansion into getting around where TISD is doing some work on their facility there. You can see all those buildings. This is a 290,000. It's in progress. In 2025, a $4.6 million project. We, since it was in 2025, we have kept that project moving forward. This is a project that is possibly one that we definitely have to put on hold. I would tell you, there's two projects in this quadrant that if we could figure out which one you'd want to put on hold, this would be our group talking as a group to Tracy and Gary, the whole group, and saying, is it worth trying to push, this project out, shuffling dollars? I don't think we can, but this project isn't as visible in that, we're just redoing streets. This one's real visible in that we bought the temple fee. We have the design work done on what we're gonna convert to. If you remember, we did a little bit of a dance to making sure that it was in budget. We really looked at this plan and it's on budget. Plans are done. Building is empty, right? Wonderful project to move forward. If you can see this, it's more open air now than glass. But because those dollars are sitting in the kitty today and we need to move it, this is one that we think we put on hold at least for a year or two, and we may come back. Gary, do we, in 2025, do we come back and say, hey, why don't we grab those Third Street dollars and do this project instead? We're having a financing plan choke point in 2024 to making sure that we can finish some of our priorities. And so we're shuffling projects, you guys, in the short term to make 24, 25, and 26 balance. This is one of those projects that, would possibly be one that we would want to do before this one, right? But because of where they lie in the dollars, I think we still got to put the one on hold. Is that really confusing? Did I lose you all on that? We got two projects, one 3.5, one 4.5, because they're in 2 different years. I wish we could release. This is one of those projects that is a priority that we're going to have to put on hold because of funding. We all agree with that one, right? Yeah. But there will be a pathway. We'll be meeting later in the year, and Bell County Annex, we have chosen a site in Martin Luther, Avenue D, Avenue C. I believe there is still some right-of-way land purchase issues. This is a drawing we've done ourselves as a vision document. I'm not sure it's been adopted by the county. So we sort of draw stuff that we like, but they're in control of their own annex. I think the city is in control of, some design standards. We have a document that says that we're going to give them 2 million, 2 million, and 2 million. In the document, I think, then I'm playing lawyer, but somewhere in that document, it says, that the land's got to be purchased. This would be one that we can possibly slide the 2 million 1 year. Legal and staff are still confirming that would not require an amendment with the county, but still, they're really not ready to move forward. And I think they could use another year. I think everybody could use another year on this. Do we still sort of agree with that?
Yeah, I think the county is going to need an additional year to meet their obligations. So we're working on an amendment to the agreement. And so it would almost certainly result in moving that 2 million from 24 to 27. We would recommend leaving it in the financing plan until we get the amendment done, but then you could shift from there.
Is your bottom line that you're showing in here with or without it?
Without it right now.
Oh, good.
No, without moving it.
Moving it, yeah. Just leave it in. So it would really help us in that 2024 window if we could get that changed. I'm gonna keep on moving so that we can get to work. This is the site that the reinvestment zone bought so that we could have some future properties if you've driven by it. Most of the buildings have been taken down. Hopefully we had 1.4 in it for both purchases and demolition and all that. Demolition's completed. I don't know if there's any dollars left over on this. Can we irrigate and seed that, do you know, or is that a part of that? Where's Buford?
Do you need your sheet?
We like, you can see that it's dirt and we don't like leaving dirt. The zone done half
We have
of our,
money. I don't know what the cost of that would be, but there are remaining funds.
we're gonna push forward, even if not, if there's no funds, you guys, we'll be back in the spring. But we don't take things down in our gateway and leave a bunch of mud out there. You know, look, in other places, we've made sure that if we have a tract of land, that we do some minimal irrigation and planting and mow it so that it doesn't become an eyesore. So this is moving along. It's a good project. Here's a project that we have talked considerably about and haven't yet funded. That is the Avenue A. It is absolutely our belief that we've done Main Street all the way down. As you know, we've got the city center going, and if we are going to do an orderly process of completing the streets, that we need to design them all. If you look at this, you just like we did on Main Street, you're heavy on one side, light on the other as far as your hike and bike. That requires meeting every one of those people saying, here's what we're gonna do, blah, 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 blah. To get it done, you're taking parallel parking or angled parking lot, turning them into parallel. And so for David, he needs to get this under design all the way to 4th Street so that we can begin the process. We all talk about Lake Cheese. You know, they have now endured a good 10 years of having people try to swim to their restaurants. So we look forward to someday being able to get this corrected and really moving up and down. You know, this would be Main. It's giving you the full sidewalk. You know, there's all kinds of stuff still going on in downtown. I still believe you've got the Extraco building out there. And, you know, we sort of said if you can turn that into a Marriott, we're with you. And so maybe that's still going to happen. Who knows? You know, I think they are. Their timing was different. They thought that they would start building it today. And, you know, they got a lot of people in that building. They're moving people out. So once all those people get moved out, we'll see what happens. That's an important issue. The things that could happen from 3rd Street on over to 4th, we need to keep on moving. He has a submitted proposal for $776,100. Did you guys plug this in for 2024, or is that still a floater? So if we're short, you know, well, we're going to keep going. There are numbers that we're going to have to shuffle around. Veterans Boulevard, you guys has this thing has been on our radar screen for also 20 years. We've done small little projects in the process of doing the projects. We've realized that you can't really move this project forward without taking care of the drainage. The drainage lies within that green line. If you drive down Veterans Boulevard right through that entryway, you can see all the water coming out of the veterans. And right now we can't handle it. So we are breaking this project again, sort of in two. We did a drainage study. We've done a design for veterans, but now we got to concentrate on actually bringing the drainage to fruition so that we can move the project forward. So we're taking the $10 million we currently have. We're breaking it into the road and the drainage. We're putting 6.7 into the drainage for 2024. And I did a little left turn on Tracy and Melissa on this. You guys may not have seen this, but Brandon, you asked me a question that did I have enough money in right away? We did not, but David had dropped a lot of his right away money into those lump sum dollars, so we sort of broke them out. So I think I took the 1 million out of the 6.3, dropped it down to right away. That gets you a long ways along, and we think we can have savings in both the drainage numbers and the road numbers to get this project going. A considerable amount of right-of-way needs to be purchased and designed, and so I think using the $10 million that we currently have this way and dropping that $1,000 down there will get us through the next 2.5 years. I would say in 2 years, as far as just at Veterans Boulevard up to Avenue U, it will take us that long to get there. So I would be honest with you that 5.3 VMB, which stands for Veterans Memorial Boulevard to Avenue U, is, will be the interesting number as we move forward. How much of that, road design is actually gonna be in drainage? How about that, Earl? That's an easy way to say that that's how we should do this. We got 2 years till we get to the road, and we may be revisiting that 5.3, hopefully not.
And that's still all totals then.
It still adds up to
13
the
million.
13 million.
Okay. So how much you need in, I
What?
was gonna say, how much do you need in 24? We can figure that out.
I was gonna break that down, I think 3.6. If I was gonna break down the 6.7. If I was gonna break the 6.7, I'd break that into 2 tranches, a 2024 and a 2025. I would split it 3.6 in 2024, 3.1 in 2025. I had it that way, but I ran out of space on my slide.
And the 5.3, you would put that all in 25 or 26?
You told me to keep it in 25 because you was hoping that I was gonna get to it that quickly. I bet you it's 26. To be honest with you, I just cannot see how we would possibly be able to get to it.
But you're,
We need the right of way now.
the right of way.
The right of way is in 2023. I kept that in there. The first thing we're doing is gonna be is getting our right of way done. David's gonna answer a question for me. He hasn't answered it, and I know he's gonna be working with David and you guys on this. Can we go from Veterans Boulevard to the confluence, to the edge of that property of the apartments, and release the project and pick up enough storage in the redo of that area to release the project before we figure out how we're gonna get through those apartments? I think that was the question I asked you. We won't know until this thing all gets released. He's just did the 715 with, what was that project? That was the last meeting we had.
Yeah.
Where we added the 715 to, now he's in all out design.
We just received those proceed on it, so we're going.
So the 715 at the top to design the drainage, just released in our last meeting. He's gonna go. I'm just giving you guys a heads up. What would be really nice is that if the 3.6 drainage portion is enough to allow the 5.3 to be released in 2025. We'll know that as the year progresses. Right?
Right.
Any questions? This, we had you remember apparently swap of land and money was given to them for Emerson. It was sort of just an agreement that we've done with DISD. It is done. It is the money, I think the money. Has the money been given to them? No, it's 2024. It's just now. Has it been given to them? Just whenever they ask.
I think we're finalizing the agreement and getting really close to the transaction. I think it was like by the end of the calendar year.
If you took this picture, you guys, and looked at it, that field is on our property, I believe. It's on city property. That's why it's a joint use. Drainage runs right down the middle of that field. So there's a little, if you look to the left of this, it looks like a road. That's really drainage. That's a drainage channel to the left of the football field. It's a mess. And so this is actually, if you think about that drainage, that project they're going to be doing, it's also what is dumping into the green line that we had back here. See that to the north, that's going there. That's all floodplain. So, we're fixing all of that. All this water is coming. The line from Veterans and Temple College is coming into this. That's called a confluence. That's where 2 floodplains come together. Flows underneath the loop and is heading south. It is a mess. It's one of, I always tell Brian it's one of her last drainage problems, but it's just the last of the most current.
Anytime he ever tells me it's the last one, I don't believe him.
I always been hoping it's the last for the zone to. What do we got going here? Let's keep moving. The airport, this is a wonderful thing. If you guys are out there, it actually opened up, is completed. Had a grand opening. If you get a chance, you should go out, take a look at it. A $6 million project. It was great while we're sitting there, 3 jets come in. I just don't know if anybody realizes the traffic that we have that is above and beyond GA. It was sort of fun. We were out there. Sean came over and said that, you know, jets coming in from SpaceX, but they wanted to be diverted away from the FBO because their security detail weren't going to allow them to walk through all of us. So that's sort of fun. You realize finally Elon, he spends quite a bit of time coming in and out of there. Sean, again, time-wise, I gotta keep moving here, you guys. I apologize, but this is also the expansion of the business executive part where the larger jets are parked. I believe Sean's already got 2 that are additional ones that are already coming in. I believe SpaceX is, you know, possibly a client for out there. She's got that what is she flying?
G650.
G650, and that's that larger one. Sean sent me a video, you guys, because we were bitching. This is done. Bitching the wrong way.
You're what?
This is the roadway, water, sewer to making sure that he can add additional business execs. This is a new project that we weren't sure was necessary. If you look, you can see the floor plan of our FBO there. So that's when this was taken. We might get an updated photo just so we can show that picture. Maybe even be nice to replace it by Wednesday. The FBO, you got what we show is in this picture you give me is that we took probably 4 or 5 tie downs, and we thought that you see that big field out there that we're just fine. Sean sent us a picture, a video he did about a month ago, and everything to the left and the right were full of jets. It's just crazy that we had that amount of traffic coming into Temple. I always tell anybody, go take a look at it. Everything we're about in here is helping quality of life so that the more people want to live in Temple and have their facilities here. And so we're getting really close that this is how they get to Temple. Very few of them get in a car and come here, right? This is a project you plug where you can. That's all right. That's me. I'm long-winded. But I've only done this once this year and I won't do it again. Except Wednesday. Well, you guys, we told everybody that it's a lot of slides. I'm okay if nobody wants to see them. This is some taxiway improvements that are coming through. Right? We have told the airport anytime they've got a matching grant, don't let it slip through the fingers, right? So we have dollars in there for them to do that. Gateway is under construction. If you're out there, 5.1, you got dirt work going on. Art pieces will be going in, landscaping will be done, and this is a project we've had on the radar screen all the way back to when Thomas was here and gave us $375,000 an award. Turned into a $5 million project. The Arts District, long story short, that opportunity possibly has slipped through our fingers. And the current plan, we spent money to have a current plan. Really what had happened is a lot of the land that we were looking at has been absorbed, one through residential, secondly through about 2 million square foot of warehouse. And so what we'd like to do is just remove all the dollars and this plan from our financing plan. That does not mean that we're not committed to an arts district. Bryn has in her budget a completion study. Bo, as you know, we made this presentation when you were actively involved.
Yeah.
That everything that we did that day, everything we wanted to do still remains a priority for our community. We lost the opportunity to do the big vision in this quadrant. We're gonna have to absorb and move forward on where should this be? Should it still be in that quadrant? For us, we had a plan. We looked at it. We were going to start moving it. We had dollars for it. We're going to shut that down and then re-up it as the staff and us and dollars come available to determine what can we do. You can see it was out in 2027, 2028. All right, so we're pulling those dollars out and we're establishing what that project should look like. It is a priority for Union, it's a priority for, I think our community will just have to figure out how we can do it. One last, project that, isn't anywhere, but what we were just talking about, we have pretty much completed or are close to completing our 2025 master plan. I really believe it's called 2030, but we've been pretty good at getting our 2030 plan buttoned up by 2025. It is time for us in the next year or two to relook at Temple, Texas and our reinvestment zone and future dollars and determine projects that make sense for our community. Bob asked for 250 to begin the process of doing that project. And so if we could find 250 for 2024, you know, I'm done. That's an hour and a half. That's too long.
Great job.
That's too long. So it's gonna be dialogue. You guys, dialogue for y'all, you could do it in 2 hours to really answer every question and to know your projects. In the board meeting, you know, I would think that 15, 20 minutes worth of dialogue that I do, I'm not gonna do. I'm gonna do it for you guys and answer any of your questions. Usually in the whole board, you know, you're showing them what you got, and I'm hopefully I can get through that with an hour and 10 minutes, 15. Any questions on the projects? So once we get all these projects and those dollars all shook up, you hand this over to Gary and Tracy to give us a little bit of a synopsis on where they're heading to see if we can do this.
Tracy, I know we've got a little time left, take all that we need, but, and thank you, John. I mean, it's $100 million worth of things that are going on. We need to talk about it. And I thank you for the.
I know that it seems long and it could be longer.
Yeah. Tracy, you kind of work us through where we're trying to get through in 2024. Yeah.
Yes, and just to summarize, I know John went over the beginning, before he started going over the projects. Just to remind, in the end of September, we did a financing plan amendment and we focused on 23 and 24, just updating the revenues, waiting for the outer loop bid to come in. Now, with what John just went over, we're coming back and we need to adjust the financing plan. We have not taken out from 25 through the end of the plan. We had added meta dollars for 3 phases, and again, they paused and redesigned. So we need to take that number back down to what the new investment is projected to be. And we had also added dollars for Project Ocho with some incentives, added revenue, plus we had some incentives that were going to come out. What I have on the top line is the net impact of Ocho and Meta. And then again, we're talking about so many projects going on. Part of what we're going to go over next Wednesday morning too is the annual report.
Kick it out before we leave the increment. I mean, those show brackets as in being reduced from our prior financing plan. And again, it's because of the differences on those two projects. Aside from that, our increment has continued to grow though, right? From all other sources. So that's a good thing.
Yes.
Right.
What I've showed to the group back in July, it didn't have, we added $3 million and something worth of increment this year. So that brought that number, the revenue loss, to be less.
Hey, Tracy, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Just one point to be made on how much time they've had to put into this, and in scrubbing the tax, they found out that FedEx wasn't even on the rolls. I mean, and so it's just one item. I just wanted to throw that out, that for them working as hard as they worked, right? They're the ones that found that completed project out there. So kudos to really Melissa and Tracy's staff who go out there and really scrub that. They don't just take what comes from the Bell County, and kudos, that wasn't even on there, you guys. So I just thought I'd say that that's what Gary was talking about as far as an increment that's out there that, anyway, sorry.
threw me off just a second, John.
Yeah,
But
that's
okay,
good.
that's good.
See how that feels?
So anyway, with this, with us being short, we've been in here an hour and 41 minutes. So I don't want to dive really deep. This spreadsheet, and I'll pass one out. The top part is funding, like it impacts revenue or fund balance. The bottom has to do with proposed use of funds. Anytime there's a bracket, that means at the bottom means it's added money. And with the adjustment of meta or redesign, the projects that John went over that we're defunding, taking or moving forward in 24, total a little over $13 million. So we went through a worksheet and said, okay, this is monies we have, or we can reprogram. And then looking through the project plans, what are we trying to fund? And I need maybe the lights and pass out a sheet. Everyone understand this better? And Kelly, can you move up some, please? A little bit further. Right there. So, and this is all on a spreadsheet we're passing out. And this is looking at 2024. The money that we come in and based on speaking with project group of what they wanted to fund, need to fund, priorities, that's all noted in red. So it includes adding dollars to the North Industrial Master Plan, $2 million for the Old Howard improvements. It funds the loop shortage at 6.9 plus a contingency, synergy, Park wastewater line. All those projects that John had went over are in red and being funded. And how is that being done again? The meta projects that we can defer or don't need now. We had some in September when we did the financing plan amendment. We've got over, I think is it $100 million of investments, 80 something million in bond proceeds. We're earning a lot of interest. We got about 7.9 million there. We put it in public improvements, unallocated, and then we had a bond contingency. So with what we went over today, we're still short about $4.1 million. We need to move some things around. But I think we've
But
got-
you're not showing the Santa Fe community, right?
Right, it's still in 24 right now.
Okay.
What about County, which those two is 5.5, 5.5 would already make that number work.
Yeah, we've also talked about the initial contingency for the loop, knowing that we were hanging on to some dollars, that we could lower that with this amendment and then replenish it.
Just split the two, 1 and 1.
Or even maybe less than that.
I mean, could you not just flip the contingency in the annex? I mean,
When you get the bill.
when you get the annex,
But we need a little bit at the beginning, just.
Yeah, that's the goal, but just put a little bit at the beginning and then the lion's share once we do the annex amendment.
yeah.
So, but you're out there, what? 2027, you worried about 2027? Sorry, I know we're
Yeah.
really we're really concentrating.
Yeah, these years we do still have some work to do.
But the way I understand this, we're $1.2 million. Help me understand 25. You're saying we have $1 million available, but we're $1.2 million.
Yeah, I did do. I've added 2.9 million in fund balance that we should have at the end of 2024. And I think that should be our dry powder. In a
But,
sense,
but are we short or do we have $1 million extra in 24?
you have $1 million extra.
So you should be able to take that, you should be able to put in 25 if you want to swap out the Avenue A
I
stuff
think,
or the 3rd Street pedestrian. I mean, I think that you've got $1 million to play with. And that was potentially.
yeah, I'm always interested in looking at when they all get put out there, I've always said this, what's the effect on 2025? What's the effect on 2026? The projects I just showed you is our priority list. The numbers that we're pulling back are holds.
Yeah.
How we
We
shuffle the
need to put
bag,
some
how
money
you
in there.
shuffle the bag to make sure Tracy and Melissa never want a negative number in one of the lines. So, you know, sometimes you'll be taking that Santa Fe and sticking it on hold, putting it nowhere. I mean, literally putting it on hold, and putting it out 8 years if you have to, and then waiting for that next year and seeing how it settles, right? That's what you're saying.
No, I'm saying, I think you
They can
Do
do
it
it
24.
no,
25.
25.
See, I'm worried because it's 3.5 and you only got one, so you're 2.5 short.
But I'm saying, take that something
You know, county.
yeah, we can.
Yeah.
I think but I think in those 2 years, if I understand it right, given all the projects that we plan on doing, there's still $1 million surplus in addition to keeping dry powder. Or do you have 2 million you don't show us?
Yeah, I added that 2.9 and 25.
Is the airport
Only $1
and
million.
Avenue A
Well,
in
it's $1 million.
24?
Do what?
Is the airport, did you guys put that airport?
No,
in-
I need to put the airport in.
In Avenue A, neither one of those.
No, Avenue A is in.
Yeah. So
We did it.
Avenue A, you know, both of those, oh, well, Avenue A is designed, so, yeah, sorry, that's okay.
Just
Never mind.
And we
The
need to add the
airport,
master
we just
plan
do the
update.
design.
We got a few, we
Yeah,
got some
tweaks.
tweaking.
I think the key here is for everyone to, do a head nod that you like the direction we're heading. We hand it over to Gary and Tyler and financing to shake out the last numbers, which will be presented on this coming Wednesday. So we've had a short window, but that you guys all in philosophy feel good that the direction we're heading. I think that's what we're looking from here. We don't want to walk in on a Wednesday full board meeting and you guys not being able to say that we presented to you. And that if you have questions, you want to adjust something or do it now.
So on our financing plan amendment that we're gonna do on Wednesday, do we have to show 26, 27, and forward as positive numbers?
Yes.
So we will need to adjust some of those where we hold them.
Hey, you're unallocated on line 38 for 2026. The 3.5, is that good money or bad money?
I took that's money that money helped
If you
short.
zero that out, that's what gave you, oh, that's how you got to a positive number.
Mhm.
So the next one. So you're still, that's the one.
And 27, you need to do some adjustments.
Yeah.
And then you're pretty
Did I
much,
do any adjustments on 27?
you got good money in 28.
Yeah, so you push everything to 28 and 29 right now, that
You're close.
It's
I mean,
close.
that's just where you mark it.
looks like you guys still have one last meeting to.
Oh, yeah.
I always like it when Melissa and Tracy get playing with that. You guys, if we keep our priorities, we can, then 26, 27, 28, we got a slide. And then we got to pat, Adrian on the back and try to get him to go ahead and get that done. So that presentation I'm gonna do, shorten it up, be the same one. Would love to be able to tell the rest of the board that we've met and that everybody is in agreement of the direction we're heading. Keep on saying that. I mean, so if there's a problem with this group, please tell me now or until Tuesday morning of next week, because this is pretty much the presentation you're gonna have. Those yellow lines will be filled in with numbers. Everything across the bottom will net out the positive numbers, keeping the priorities we just talked about. Right? Unless you want to do that right now. You don't want to do that right now. Everybody good?
We going into executive session too.
Yeah, before everybody leaves, I got a 5-minute presentation, so we want the public out, you need to shut off. Staff can say because I need something from them. Oh, yeah, but I was telling everybody what we were gonna do. Yeah, he's got it already. Yeah. I gotta read this guy. Hold on. All right, we're gonna receive and discuss a briefing regarding certain economic development prospects and potential real properties. Pursuant to the Texas Government Code Section 551.072 and point or 807, the Project Committee and Finance Committee may meet in closed session to discuss or deliberate the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property if deliberations in an open meeting would be detrimental effect to the position of the governmental body in negotiations with third person, discuss or deliberate commercial and financial information received from a business prospect that the government body seeks to have located, stay, or expand in or near the city of Temple, and with which the government body is conducting economic development negotiations, or to deliberate the offer of a financial or other incentive to such business prospects. No final action will be taken. So